Hi guys, welcome! In this video, we'll talk about the One Punch Man Saitama, which is one of the new collab classes coming to Ragnarok Mobile Eternal Love. Saitama can deal tons of damage to enemies with either Justice Execution, which is a strong burst punch, or Consecutive Punch, which deals multiple damage per second. In this guide, we'll explore how to build a Saitama character for PVE. We'll talk about the stats, skills, runes, gears, cards, and other upgrades that are needed to prepare you in advance before the One Punch Man collab event arrives. Alright, without further ado, let's begin. First up, let's take a look at Saitama's skills. Saitama follows the design of hero classes, which only have a single skill tree with a core passive skill that is upgraded via runes, while the other skills are upgraded using the usual job points. Saitama's core passive skill is called Strongest Force, which has several effects. First is that it gives a strong knockback effect when Saitama deals damage. This is only important in PvP since monsters cannot be knocked back. Instead, a slowdown effect will be applied directly on monsters at level 4. The second effect of Strongest Force is that it deals additional damage to enemies equivalent to both Saitama's and the enemy's strength multiplied by a percentage of Saitama's physical attack. At max level, it will use 10% of Saitama's physical attack. The calculation of this extra damage is affected by element, size, and race modifiers, so this will have a huge impact on his overall damage. Thus, this is the main reason why it's a must to get all second line of runes. As for the last effect of Strongest Force, it will improve the concentration duel skill wherein Saitama can fully ignore the flee and shield of the target dueled. In addition, killing the target dueled will restore all his max HP. This is a neat addition if you want to bypass certain boss mechanics in PvE. Next, let's look at the damaging skills. First, we have Normal Punch, which is Saitama's normal attack. It deals physical damage equivalent to 600% physical attack, which is 6 times higher than the basic attacks of other classes. However, his normal attack speed is capped at 100% and it cannot trigger a critical strike and knockback effect. To compensate, every 10 points of Agi will instead increase his movement speed by 1%. Second is Consecutive Punch, which locks on an enemy and deals physical damage every 0.2 seconds, which lasts for 2 seconds. Thus, Saitama is able to deal 10 ticks of damage within 2 seconds, with each punch equivalent to 150% of his normal punch damage. The lock mechanism will be really helpful in ensuring that all damage will be registered on the target. In addition, this S rune will weaken the enemy. And last is Justice Execution, which deals burst damage to an enemy. It has high attack and strength multiplier and even ignores flee and physical defense. This is the strongest skill of Saitama, which can easily one-hit kill normal and Apocalypse MVPs. It also affects enemies behind the target, dealing 20% splash damage and causing them to spin for 1 second. What makes it stronger in PvP is that it can have 10% to 80% chance to remove all the buffs on the target before attacking with Star Rune. Thus, the effects of all defensive buffs on the target like Kiri Eleison and White Barrier have a chance to be removed before attacking. Next, we have Final Punch, which is a passive that gives normal attacks an 8% chance of triggering Justice Execution when the normal attack does not kill the enemy. This chance lasts for 5 seconds and it will stack until it gets triggered. Thus, it's good to insert a normal punch while Consecutive Punch and Justice Execution are on cooldown. Another advantage of doing normal attacks in between is that it grants 50% damage reduction for 3 seconds, improving his survivability. Next, we have Concentration Duel, which marks an enemy with Versus sign for 8 seconds. During this period, Saitama will only be able to deal damage to and receive damage from the dueled target. If you kill the enemy within the duel duration, the cooldown will be reduced from 18 to 13 seconds. At level 7 core passive, Saitama will be able to ignore the flee and shield effects of the duel target. This will come in handy when clearing the 3rd floor of Museum Island and Lost Isle instances. Next, Saitama has 2 active buff skills and they are as follows. First is body exercise, which makes Saitama do push-ups for 3 seconds. Afterwards, it increases his fit and strength by 50 points and physical and magic damage reduction by 20% for 2 minutes. This effect can be stacked up to 3 times, but the stack effect will be cancelled after attacking once, reverting to 1 stack. Thus, it's advantageous to do 3 push-ups first before unleashing Justice Execution for maximum damage. With max value of this S rune, body exercise will grant 60 agi at 3 stacks, which is equivalent to 6% movement speed increase. Another buff is Unparalleled Speed, which increases his movement speed by 100% and physical damage bonus by 50%. This buff lasts for 10 seconds and can be increased to up to 16 seconds with the max value of this S rune. Next, Saitama has a displacement skill called Jump, which instantly teleports him to a location of up to 9 meters. This S rune will also grant immunity to both physical and magic damage for 0.5 to 2 seconds after jumping, which will greatly help with his survivability. However, Jump is banned in Komodo Legend. Lastly, these are other passive skills of Saitama. First is Hero Speed, which increases attack by 5 points and the final damage of Justice Execution by 0.5% for every 1% movement speed. Thus, it's a must to achieve the movement speed cap to further improve Saitama's damage potential. Second is Hero's Instinct, which will ignore any damage received that is lower than Strength plus Vit times 100. And when the Unparalleled Speed buff is active, the effect will be increased by 5 times. So if Saitama has 600 total strength and Vit, he can ignore any damage that is less than 60,000 or up to 300,000 if Unparalleled Speed is active. And the last one is Hero's Heart, which is useful in both PVE and PvP. In PvE, the damage received from MVP and mini monsters is reduced by 50%. While in PvP, it grants 100% resistance to blind and fear status and 20% reduction in the duration of any abnormal status inflicted on himself. Up next, let's discuss the most important runes to get. For Aether Monument, hero classes only gain attributes when nodes are activated, and there are no nodes that modify the effects of skills, making it really straightforward for new players. As a simple guide, just focus on upgrading the nodes that grant physical damage, damage to large size, elemental damage, movement speed, strength, agi, and raw physical attack. For advanced runes, hero classes are heavily rune dependent due to the new mechanics of upgrading the core passive skill, wherein the second line of all 3 star runes and 3 S runes should be activated to max the core passive. Thus, it's encouraged that you save enough runes to get the essential S and star runes. The skill runes for Saitama are as follows. First, we have the star rune for Unparalleled Speed, which extends the buff's duration from 10 seconds to up to 16 seconds. A high value for the first line can greatly improve Saitama's DPS in long fights. Second is the S rune for Body Exercise, which boosts agi gain by 1 to 20 points. Getting the max agi value would be nice as it can stack up to 3 times, which is equivalent to 6% movement speed or 3% final damage to Justice Execution. Third is the S rune for Consecutive Punch, which lowers the target's physical damage reduction by 1% to 5% for every hit. I think a high value in your first line is not that essential since debuffs are quickly dispelled in Komodo Legend and field MVPs can be killed with just 1 Justice Execution. Fourth is the S rune for Jump, which grants immunity to physical and magic damage for 0.5 to 2 seconds. This will be quite useful when fighting against Apocalypse MVPs. Fifth is the star rune for Concentration Duel, which grants 10 to 50 strength when you kill a dual target for 30 seconds. A high strength value may be somewhat useful in boss hunts. And last is a star rune for Justice Execution, which is a core rune for PvP since it has a chance to remove all buffs on a target before hitting with Justice Execution. However, it cannot dispel Asphyxia of Rune Master and Soul Breath of Blade Soul. As for attribute runes, just focus on the following for improving damage. Up next, let's take a look at the important stats to upgrade. For attribute point distribution, you need to max out both Strength and Agi for increasing Saitama's damage. Strength increases raw physical attack and is a major factor in calculating Justice Execution's damage and Strongest Force's extra damage. While Agi increases movement speed, which then increases raw physical attack and the final damage of Justice Execution. Then allot the remaining points on Vit for survivability and to increase the limit of the damage ignored due to Hero's Instinct passive. However, you may also allocate your stat points differently if you'll be using any of these garment cards. If you'll be using a Vagabond Wolf star card or Chucky Tree star card, then max out Strength to boost your attack percentage. For Mastering star card users, you can max out Luck to increase physical damage. Or lastly, there will be a new MVP card that will be added in the future update called Zenobia card, which will boost skill damage by 6% and an additional 0.1% for every 12 points of Strength, Dex, and Int. I think this card will be the best in slot for Saitama. As for damage multipliers, prioritize increasing attack percent, melee physical damage, physical penetration, ignore def, skill damage, elemental damage, movement speed, damage to MVP, and damage to large size. As a general rule for clearing the current late game instances, you will need around 200% ignore def, 80% pen, 50% skill damage, and 50% elemental damage. Up next, let's dive into the gears, cards, and other upgrades. First, for weapon, Titan is the best in slot due to its huge damage to large size modifier, which already activates the insight effect of Minora's card from the handbook. However, a more versatile weapon for both PVE and PvP is the Fist of Divine Glory, which is the exclusive weapon for Saitama. The materials for crafting and synthesizing this new weapon are as follows. Your weapon should be enchanted with Morale or Sharp Blade with high PDI and inlaid with Drake star card and or Minora star card. For offhand, you may either get a Voodoo Blade with 30% ignore def or Dragon Bone Shield with 18% physical damage. It should be enchanted with Armor Breaking 4 or high PDI and inlaid with Alice star card. For armor, you can use either a Voodoo Armor with 15% pen or 20% damage to large size, or a Dream Eater's Disguise with 20% elemental damage for legend instances. It should be enchanted with Morale or high PDI and inlaid with Boitata star card. For garment, the best in slot is Brave Warrior's Pauldron with 12% skill damage, enchanted with high PDI, and inlaid with Zenobia card or any of these cards. For footgear, you may either use a Dragon Slayer War Boots with 6% pen, or Overlord War Boots with 6% physical damage, enchanted with high PDI, and inlaid with Moonlight Flower star card. For accessories, you may use any of these depending on the stat you are lacking. Pendant of Eugen for attack percent and physical damage, Void Crystal for ignore def and physical damage, or Gold Earring for raw attack and pen. Both accessories should be enchanted with Sharp Blade 4 and high PDI, and inlaid with any of the following cards. If you have trouble reaching the movement speed cap, then switching to Mateer's Leash to cast Speeding Up would be another good option to boost Justice Execution's damage. You may inlay a Marine Sphere card on it to reset your element to neutral. For headwear, there will be a new headwear blueprint drop by Zenobia in Void Realm that gives plus 2% skill damage and additional 1% skill damage for every refinement level. These are my top options for each slot. For mount, it's a must-have to get a 50% movement speed mount, as you can equip it right before casting Justice Execution for maximum damage. As for other upgrades, prioritize the following guild buffs: Oracle Mirror Extract and Ancient Relic. Also, don't forget to improve your handbook and get multi-jobs. Finally, let's take a look at the battle setup for using Saitama in boss hunting and clearing instances. For the manual skill bar, I place normal punch, consecutive punch, justice execution, body exercise, unparalleled speed, and jump in the first skill bar. While miscellaneous skills like concentration duel, magnum break, speeding up, first aid, and play dead can be placed in the second skill bar. For the auto skill slot, you may opt to put all the damaging skills for continuous casting of the skill rotation. However, you may also opt to just manually cast these skills for better timing. Don't forget to use the following consumables which can help boost your damage and survivability. Knuckle-type weapons have 50% damage penalty against large size, so a precision stone is a must if you don't have Drake's Star card or +6 Tea-Time Pastry card. By default, Saitama's attacks are neutral, but it can be converted using elemental converters or Priest's Aspersia. Before attacking, stack the body exercise buff 3 times for 150 strength, 150 fit, and 60% physical and magic damage reduction. And then cast unparalleled speed to get 100% movement speed and 50% physical damage bonus. Ride your mount before approaching the boss and then cast Justice Execution. This preparation is important to deal max damage to the boss monster. When on auto, the skill rotation should be Justice Execution, Normal Punch, Consecutive Punch, and Normal Punch again. If you need to escape while Consecutive Punch is channeling, just ride your mount and move to cancel it. So that's it for my Saitama build guide for PVE. I hope this video has helped you in your journey in the world of Ragnarok Mobile Eternal Love. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any question or suggestion. Alright, that's it for this video guys. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed watching this guide. If you're new here, I would love for you to consider subscribing by hitting the red subscribe button down below. I would love to have you back. Thank you for watching and see you in our next episode.